One of the most challenging things to go through when you're into fitness and health is having a loved one or a friend spiral downward with poor health or obesity or lack of activity. You want to help them so bad. We're going to talk about the most effective way to convert them. Most of us screw this up and turn them in the wrong direction. Let's go.
Do you guys still struggle with this, or is this something that you've honed in on your ability to
got better at?
A lot better.
Years.
Sometimes it's a struggle. I think let's start. Well, I'll start with the first one, and then we'll kind of talk about how tough this is. But the first most important thing that I figured out, took me forever, was to be the best, truest example of fitness and health.
Yeah.
So that
nothing's going to beat that.
Yeah, it's like it's the best way to influence someone is to walk it yourself in a true way that draws people to you. In other words, not an egotistical way, but like, what does health really look like? It looks like good energy. It looks like consistency. It looks like your habits while you're around them. That's one of the most important ways or most effective ways to bring people over. But to back up, it is very hard to see people decline in health.
Yeah. And
the urge to shake them and preach to them.
Confront them and
yes,
tell them like all these things they're doing are so wrong. And it's just, that's such a hard, it's just walls immediately get built.
100%.
I feel like I pieced this together pretty early. I know very, very early I struggled a little bit. And I think a lot of times it was just because I was so excited about what I was learning and not being very aware of what I sounded like or how I might have been turning other people off. But it quickly came kind of full circle for me because I experienced this a lot growing up in the church with people trying to indoctrinate other people with their religion or their beliefs. And I just always thought it was so interesting, the hypocrisy of it. And so quickly I made that connection like, oh, this is how I used to feel about people like constantly preaching at you or trying to convert people. And it's like the first thing that you do, it's just human nature to look at that person and all the flaws
that's right
in what they do. And so it's like, oh, that's not much different with me talking to somebody about how to live a healthier lifestyle. What I have to recognize is immediately they're going to look at all the whole, oh, I saw you drinking a Diet Coke yesterday. What are you talking about? I haven't seen you work out in a week. Like, you know, that's right away how they think. And so if that's true, and just like in religion or trying to get someone to understand or see your side of belief system, the best way to do it is to be such a shining example that people ask questions, that they go, man, well, there's just something different about you lately, Sal. What is it? Yeah. And then you have the opportunity to go, well, I've been working on my walk with Christ and it's just changed me. And then you can talk to them about, and the same thing goes for fitness. It's just like, you want to get to a place where you exude health so much that people are just like, man, how do you do it? And then you have the opportunity.
I've never successfully helped any friend or family member because I approached them and preached to them about fitness. It's never worked. Yeah. Now I can be convincing. I'm one of the best salespeople around. Anybody will tell you, and I can convince them to start. Never worked long term. The only time I've ever been able to help someone close to me,
when they come to you,
is when they've come to me and asked me.
Yep.
It's never been me going to them. And the reason why they came to ask me was because they knew I was in fitness. They saw that I had good energy. They would comment on, how I looked, or, oh, you're always so happy, man, you got great energy, or, we're at these parties and everybody's eating all this other stuff. And I notice you don't make these choices. You don't make a big deal about it. You just kind of eat a particular way. Is that really hard for you? Sometimes it will start like that. Like, man, how do you turn down pizza all the time, and I would talk to them about it. And it was, the invitation was from them. It wasn't for me, or should I say the invitation was for me, but it was very subtle. It was more like me. And again, the true example of this is not being the hyper fanatic or the person no one relates to. Okay. So, if you're canceling birthday parties, if you're showing up at parties with all your food, if you're being that weirdo, you're probably not going to you might get some questions, but you're not going to get a lot of people who are on the fence. They're going to be like, I don't want to be like that guy. Like he doesn't even show up to parties. And
you don't want to be holier than thou.
He's obsessed, You want to be the truest example. And what that means is when you look at health in its entirety, it represents, health means you look a particular way. That's obvious. Let's put that aside. It means you're in a better mood. It means that you've got better energy. It means that you just seem to look like you feel genuinely better or well all the time. And so that is absolute number one, is to be that example. If you're not that example that I'm talking about, then nothing else will work.
I mean, I can literally look back and like even listening to this conversation, I can think about my progress with my dad, because that's I've had so many interactions where I've tried different methods, and it's been really cringe in the beginning because I felt like we had this rapport, like even, somehow sometimes like when you're with your friends and your male buddies too, you jab at certain things, and I'll come by and I'll slap them in the stomach, and and I call him a big fat ass. Yeah. And and that didn't work. And
Weird.
try the next thing.
Weird, it didn't work.
I'm like, here, drink this, and it's like green juice, and he's just like, and I'm just like, oh, you're such a big baby, and and so then I'm like, okay, that's not working, and so I start softening it up, and literally I just abandoned all like trying to infuse, or like I guess I tried to like get there as much as possible. I'm like, I'm available. Here's all these exercises like you could be doing, and like, and it's so cringe, dude. And I know it's a terrible approach, but I want to highlight an example of like we're all kind of like, if it's somebody that close to you, you will kind of like think that, oh, maybe I can just do it this way.
It's hard because you have a family member. This is when it gets real hard. Okay. Okay, fine. They look unhealthy. They're overweight. Okay. That can be tough. You love them. Doesn't look good. Here's where it gets really hard. A health issue happens.
Yeah.
This is when I would crack.
And you know what they need to do.
And if it's someone really like, I still have challenges with this with my parents, because obviously I love my parents more than anything. And my mom will say, oh my, my back is really hurting. And I'm just like, oh, I want to tell you what I think you need to do, because I know I have the answer. Yeah. Or my dad's like, man, I've been feeling really bad. I've really had low energy lately, Yeah. And it's really, that's when it gets really tough, is when there's a health issue, but you fight the urge and you just be the example. And then that takes us to the next one, which is, this is just as big as the first one. You don't judge, ever, 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 ever. When they have a health issue, when they're eating like garbage, when they're making a terrible decision, the opportunity will pop up where it's going to feel very appropriate to judge. Like they'll come to you and they'll say, oh man, I feel like garbage. I think I need to quit smoking. Oh, real easy opportunity for me to be like, yeah, or you could just say, man, that's real tough. Smoking could be really, really difficult. Let me know if you need any help, type of deal. Don't judge ever, because when you appear to be the judge, it invokes shame. People turn away from that. Even if it motivates them initially, they'll eventually turn away from that. You
learn this on your way to becoming a good trainer, because this is how you treat clients. I've talked about it before. Like I'm so aware and sensitive of this that a lot of times when I'm trying to give direct advice to a client, I'll even speak in generalizations like, oh yeah, a lot of people struggle with this.
Or I had a friend who.
Yeah, or I had a client before who this is what I had, but I'm really talking to them because I'm trying to be very sensitive to their struggle, and also not alienate them. Like, oh, you do that. You're like, make them feel all alone. Let them feel like, hey, it's totally normal. A lot of people struggle with that.
Which is true.
And it is. You're not lying. You're being honest. But I think it's such an important skill to me of becoming a good trainer, is that ability, because you see so many different types of clients. It's even more important when you're trying to convince a family member to come that way, is that they already know that you're the family trainer, so they already put you in this different category. The last thing you want to do is make them feel even less of you, and making them feel that you not only understand, or maybe you struggle too with similar things, to humanize yourself.
Totally. So to back up a little bit, your best chances at influencing anyone is what kind of relationship you have with them. Damage that relationship and your opportunity to influence them is gone. So number one is the relationship. Now, this doesn't mean you coddle. So I want to be very clear. This doesn't mean you lie. It just means you can be you're honest with compassion and empathy. Mm-hmm. So let's say we'll start with the first one. You're a great example. Then somebody comes to you. It's your mom, it's your dad, it's your spouse, and they say, "Hey, man, I feel like crap. I think I need to change my diet." You can be very honest and say something like, "Whew, that's going to be tough." I definitely think that's one of the reasons why you feel like crap. That's going to be a tough one. A lot of people struggle with that. Like, that's how you approach it. Not like, I've been telling you it's your diet, or what do you, don't you think?
Just encourage them. Yeah.
It's the non-judgment, honest truth. Not the, I'm going to make you feel like crap because I told you so, which is it's very tough to do. When again, I talk about my parents because this happens with my parents. When my dad hurts his back and he comes to me, I want to tell him, you know why you hurt your back? Because of this stuff that I told you that you didn't do, type of deal. It's very easy to do that. What it does is it damages the relationship, and it makes it less likely for them to ever come to you again with any of that stuff. And as a trainer, I'm so glad you said that, Adam, because what you see as a trainer, if your client feels judged, is they stop telling you the whole truth.
That's right.
Yep.
If they don't feel judged and they feel compassion, they'll tell you everything. And then you can really help them. Today's program giveaway is MAPS Powerlift. If you want to win that, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comments section. Also, MAPS Performance and MAPS Performance Advanced, both 50% off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code March50 for the discount. All right, here comes the show. The next thing to do is when it becomes appropriate, invite them to do it with you, to spend time with them, but make it appropriate. Here's a mistake sometimes trainers make, or fitness people make. They'll invite the person and they'll beat the crap out of them in a workout. Or they'll invite them for a workout and make it about the workout. It's not about the workout, it's about the relationship. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do when somebody comes to me and we're doing great and I did a good job not judging them, and then I say, hey, you know what? You want to come with me on Saturday? Come work out with me on Saturday. First off, they're going to say this, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to get my butt killed. No, I know what I'm doing. I'll take you through. It'll be fun. You know what? To be honest with you, I just want to hang out with you. So it's about the relationship. I just want to hang out with you and we'll do some stuff. Then when they come, it's not about the workout. First of all, one workout's not going to do anything for them anyway. No matter how great you make the workout, it's not going to change anything. I'm going to make it about the time. Can I make this enjoyable for them in a way to where they want to try it again? That's the most important thing. And what that might look like is a walk. I have experiences with this with family members where they finally show up, they come to the gym, they're expecting me to beat them up in the gym. We do a little bit of mobility work, and then we go outside. Like, what are we doing? Nothing. I just want to go on a walk. Why? Well, walking is great. Plus, I want to hang out with you. And it really fosters a relationship where they're going to come back and do this with you. This is especially important for spouses. This is where it gets real difficult. When you have a spouse who's gaining lots of weight or is out of shape, you invite them to come work out with you. It is not about the workout. It is about the relationship. Make it as appropriate as possible.
And I think too, and I kind of went a little ridiculous with my dad. Like, I've gotten a lot better. But what I learned was I just need to spend more. If I'm that concerned, I need to actually spend more time. And that's not directly around fitness and nutrition and all that stuff. I need to spend that time so I can have that space so then he can actually ask me questions and I'm not coming in with this constant energy of like, well, what are you doing? And like asking and probing. It's more like being available and then also getting back into like things that we used to enjoy doing together. So we'll go to like car shows, we'll do active things. I'm trying to get him out of the house, and there is some strategy to that, but really it's the amount of time spent, it creates and fosters a better environment to then start talking about these things.
This is such an underrated tip and overlooked, because the fitness person who tries to get somebody to go to the gym tends to want to either impress them or show them a crazy workout. Good point. So they go into it with the wrong, and if your desired outcome is you're trying to win this family or friend over into a better way of taking care of themselves, blasting them in the workout or impressing them to show them how strong you are.
Which only alienates them.
Yeah, is not serving your goal. And so to your point, this is why I think it's such an underrated tip, is like, it purely is my goal is that they enjoy this process. Even if we ended up only doing one exercise or just going for a walk, it's that I want them to see how easy it is for them to move this way or move in this direction of a healthier lifestyle. It doesn't need to be this overly complicated workout or what you love to do, right? Because you love Soul Cycle or you love this class that you take. Like, oh, I want to. No, it's like that's not the best approach to trying to win them over. And so I think this is a really important.
I'm so glad you said that, Adam, because here's another challenge with the inviting for time spent. Don't invite them to an important workout that you have. Because you're going to you need to sacrifice your workout for the relationship. In other words, don't invite them to back day. I'm going to do my workout on Wednesday anyway. Come along. Well, are you going to do your normal workout? If you are, don't invite your beginner family member because you're going to make them feel like they don't belong. So my best approach with this was always to invite them to something that was outside of my workout. So I didn't have to sacrifice my workout. It was all about them. It had nothing to do with what I'm trying to do with my body or train myself. That whole impress them thing, that can definitely happen, especially if you want to show them how great it seems. All you're going to do is make them feel like they can't do that. Like, I don't belong here.
It reminds me one of the first formal dates that Katrina and I ever did when we first met each other. I took her snowboarding. And she had bad experiences in the past doing it. Other boyfriends and friends have tried to get her to snowboard. And I was just saying, no, come, we'll have a good time. And long story short, I converted her over to be somebody who rides, and she loves it. And she talks about that day all the time, just about what a great experience it was for her. But it was, she never saw how good I was. I never got to ride in front of her, impress her. We never did anything I really wanted to do that day. We spent most of the time on one little section, but it was just it was about her and her experience and us having a great time. And we probably spent a lot more time talking and joking and laughing than we did even riding. But that was such an important moment to get her to want to do that again and then to eventually fall in love with the sport. And I knew that from my experience being a trainer and understanding that she will talk about it. It's like, it doesn't bother you that we didn't know. I don't mind at all. I want to do this with you. I want to be here with you and I want to enjoy this. That's why I invited you. And this is a great day for me too. Her feeling that way gave her that space and opportunity to then want to pursue it further. I feel like that's very similar to this workout analogy that you're giving is just like you go to bring someone in there. This is not your workout. This is not about what you like to do or showing them anything. It's literally about them having a good experience, and being aware of that is so important to how you set the table for this person and their experience with the gym.
Totally. Next is this, by the way, of all the things we're going to talk about, this is the most challenging, is to be patient. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to do this stuff that we're saying, and then you're going to wait 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years sometimes. You're going to wait a long time, and then sometimes it never happens, which I'm going to tell you right now, any other way wouldn't have made it happen either, or sometimes it just takes a long time. You got to be patient. The other way doesn't work. We know that for a fact. It's not going to work. Being patient is the only thing that you have, and it takes a long time. I have family members it took 3 years. By the way, this is a tip for trainers. I had clients, when I got good at being a trainer, when I got really good at helping people develop a relationship with fitness that lasted for the rest of their life, I'd have clients that hired me to lose 30 pounds, and it would take them 3 or 4 years. It wasn't because it took 3 or 4 years to lose 30 pounds. It took them 3 or 4 years to finally figure out and commit to the stuff that got the weight off. Now, that entire time they're with me, and I'm patient, and I'm not judging, and I'm being honest and being empathetic, and still they're showing up. And then they figured it out. And 3 months later, they lost 30 pounds.
It's got to be on their terms.
You got to be very, very patient, and they got to feel that you're not. It's like, they're just there. They're just fit, and the next they ask you, but you got to be patient.
There's a lot of misconceptions around what a fit, healthy lifestyle looks like. And it's, very similar probably, Sal, you've shared openly your journey of Christianity. Yeah. And it wasn't just first sign. It wasn't one sign and you're like, oh, I'm bought in. I'm all in. Yeah. It's like it takes several of these things a lot of times to break down your own wall that you have up about whatever that thing is, right? So if you have a person who, I don't want to, like I've had friends tell me like, I don't want to be like you. Like, I don't want to have to train twice a day, every day.
I don't want to look like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I don't I don't want to do that. Or I enjoy having drinks every now and then. I would never want, and you're like, oh man, they have no idea. They have no clue on what this really looks like. And so just by them experiencing it one time, or they get one taste of it, a lot of times isn't enough for them to go all in. They still have a lot of other misconceptions around what being healthy and fit looks like, and the flexibility that you get from it, and how much better all your other aspects. And you can't just go tell them all that. You have to allow it to unfold and for them to learn that on their own time. And then, I've seen the spectrum of people that it only takes 2 or 3 things and then they're bought in. And then others, to your point, it took years of having to see so many things before they finally went like, you know what, this is what's missing in my life. And then they're bought in. So yeah, you gotta be patient. Do
you remember how patient you guys figured
seeds,
out?
Man.
Do you remember how patient you guys had to figure out how to get with your clients?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the beginning, like when you first became a trainer? I lacked patience.
Yeah.
It was like, we're doing this.
It was
You're
all
doing
hustle and you're trying to move them to a destination.
And how ineffective it was.
It's super ineffective.
It's like a 0% success.
Like the whole thing. It's like you got to teach them how to fish. And that takes a long time.
That's right. Lastly, when and if they ask, you were patient, you weren't judging, they come in to spend some time with you. You're a great example. Now they're like, I'm ready. I need you to help me. Here's how you could totally screw it all up. You throw everything in the kitchen sink at them. Okay. You will completely.
Here's your morning routine.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I got to write everything up for you. Yeah. I got your workout. Here's your meal plan. Here's what you can do for sleep. Here's the supplements. We're going to throw away all. No. Way too much all at once. They're going to fail. You have just destroyed them. You start slow as hell. It's literally like, oh, really? Okay, you ready to go? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to walk for 15 minutes a day. That's it? Yeah. Let's just start right there. And when you feel like that's a habit, then we'll add some more stuff. Okay, and then you stay in contact with them. And then little by little, they add more things, and the things that they add are more challenging, and they build this skill around health and fitness. Slow is better always in these situations. Even if they ask you, they want more. They tell you, I want more, because they will. When they're ready, they'll tell you, well, what about diet? Can you give me a meal plan? Give me a workout. No. Start slow. That's the best possible thing you could do.
Yeah, this is another attribute that you develop on your journey of becoming a good trainer. You eventually figure this out. Anybody who's worth at all as anything as a good trainer, like you had to have figured this out. You eventually, because here's a point where you may get enough education that you have all the answers. I've got all the answers to the test, and I can help anybody as far as telling them what they need to do. But you realize over time that that's not enough. You having the answers isn't enough to get everybody in shape, and it has to be on their terms, on their time, and less is more. And if I can get them to build one small habit and then I can stack that habit on it, I'll be far more successful. It's so, as becoming a good trainer, you figure this out. It's no different with your family and friends. When you're helping them out, is the last thing you want to do is overwhelm them with all the things they could be doing to be fitter, healthier. And it's like, hey, let's just see if I can get them to add. And again, like you hear this on the show if you've been listening for a long time. Like you tend to hear us when we give advice to people that call in. It's like we pick 1 or 2 things. Just go do this. We always say. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a bunch of other things that person could do that to be healthier. And we know what those things are. But we also realize that if we can just get them to do that one thing, track their protein, and show up to the gym twice a week, we know that we can move the needle so much in their life that may be all it takes to commit them forever. Versus here's all the things you can be doing, with the reality that most likely they will fail, because most people will fail at all of that stuff. And then they think, oh, well, I can't do all those things, so I knew it wasn't for me, and then they're done.
100%. So, and if you apply these things and do them well, you'll become a great evangelist for fitness. If you do them wrong, you'll be that guy or girl that not only doesn't help anybody, actually turns people off, which you see often in the fitness space, right? You often see, or in circles, you see in friend circles, that fitness person that kind of turns everybody off, makes them feel insecure, and you don't want to do that. You definitely want to do that. Anyway, I got another study on creatine. It seems like creatine does everything, doesn't it?
Is there another benefit they're finding?
Well, I mean, there's so much. So so this study showed that creatine helped with vascular health as well. So it's also good for your blood vessels in your heart.
Because it volumizes the cells?
Just blood vessel function.
Like what? Yeah. What's the mechanism at which it's doing that?
I don't know. They saw a reduction in triglycerides as well. But creatine could meaningfully improve cardiovascular health markers because of that improvement in blood vessel health. And again, I'm gonna say something kind of bold here. I don't think there's anything creatine won't improve.
Yeah,
because
it enhances the cell.
It helps fuel. It provides more fuel to the mitochondria of all the cells of the body, thus making all the cells of the body operate.
And we know
better.
everything is mitochondria, right?
Yes.
Everything is mitochondria.
So
health.
focused on mitochondria.
So if anything that makes that a little bit better is probably going to have tremendous carryover to everything else.
Looks like Doug also brought up more there that it improved cardiac function and reduced risks of arrhythmia. Oh. So people who suffer arrhythmias, and scroll down a little bit, Doug. Looks like
I thought I just read a study too, Sal. Didn't they just do a recent study that it's officially confirmed now that even children under the age?
They're actually fighting that. They're trying to make it. So they're trying to say only adults should take it, and there's experts that are like, "This is the dumbest thing ever. This is safe for everybody."
Someone just shared a study saying that it's been confirmed it's safe for all ages to take creatine now.
There's tons of evidence to show that.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think it's because it was originally started and stayed in for a long time. It's only recently.
Yeah, it's been on the performance side of things.
Yeah, so it's only recently that creatine has been moved into this like longevity, brain health, they
were initially worried about like kidney and like it affecting that on some negative level, but that was like, I remember that was a big concern at the very beginning, but they've pretty much proved that.
Oh yeah, there's lots of studies on kidney function.
It's only a matter of time before it's like a multivitamin.
Oh yeah.
When are we going to have Flintstone creatine,
If you're elderly, if you have an elderly family member, give them creatine.
Yeah.
Like this is extremely beneficial to people as they're aging. It's good for women in menopause. It's because it was relegated to sports performance and because it effectively improves sports performance. Because remember, natural supplements, like non-hormonal supplements, there are none that show the across-the-board athletic performance benefits.
You don't really see it.
No, nothing shows that. Like, it outperforms everything for athletic performance, period, end of story. So because it was so effective, it was like, oh, it must be bad for you then, because it's like steroids maybe or whatever. So it was in that category for so long. The literature has only really pointed to its longevity benefits, or I should say started compiling lots of evidence for longevity for probably the last 15 years, definitely over the last 10 years. And really it's only become more mainstream, like a longevity health supplement last few years, where you're seeing lots of people talk about it. So I think that's why it's got that there's that kind of myth that surrounds
stigma
it.
Sort of
the stigma.
Attached,
it does feel like though it's moved its way into all these other
Yes.
we were just on a call just the other day with a menopausal, perimenopausal specialist doctor, super badass, right? And she's like, oh my God, creatine, you brought up creatine. She's like, oh my God, I didn't bring that up, but that's like for sure. One of the first things
for patients.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, right? So it does feel like, we've had many people talk to this about the cognitive benefits. We know what's for vegans. Like it does seem like it's gaining a lot of traction, and there's a lot of, I guess you could tell by all the brands that are popping up too. Look at how many creatine brands it's been around for so long, yet you're seeing
it's taken, how long it's taken? Well, you guys know this, just people listening. It has taken so long for women to embrace creatine.
Yeah.
Because the water.
Just because it's a muscle building supplement. You gain a few pounds
of water. It's the water.
You gain a few pounds of hydration. Okay. In other words, your muscles are fuller and rounder and firmer. Because that
gives you more muscle definition.
Yeah. But so that scared women. And then supplement companies are stupid. Really dumb, because what they do is they try to market to fears, but what they end up doing is putting authenticity around a false fear because of their stupid marketing. So what companies did is like, oh, we got to sell this to women. So what we're going to do is be like, this is the creatine without bloat. Doesn't cause bloat.
Because all these other ones cause it, apparently.
Which then just reinforces this lie that you get bloated when you take creatine. By the way, if you do get gastro distress, because that can happen with creatine for some people, take smaller doses and spread them out throughout the day. That'll solve 80% of the issues some people will have with gastro distress. There is a small percentage of people that just creatine tends to bother their stomach, in which case don't take it. But everybody else, the vast majority, like try it at least and see for yourself.
Do you
But
know?
it's really crazy.
Speaking of supplements, I actually haven't brought this up to you guys. I forgot to bring this up, and you just reminded me of this. Are you guys aware of? There's a supplement that we've promoted and we talk about that one of our good friends, Mike Matthews, has openly spoke out against, and it's one of the areas that people always question. They always DM me. Well, Mike says this, and you guys say that. What do you think? Do you know what it is? You know what supplement it is?
The fat burners?
No. He likes fat burners.
Yeah.
Yo, I thought
That he speaks out against?
Yeah.
out against.
You guys don't. Yeah, I've seen him. He's done tweets on it before and recently.
Oh, collagen.
No,
what?
EAAs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so funny because we were on the phone. We were actually, and what made me think of this was we were talking about creatine.
Is he coming out with you?
Creatine specifically for women and what that would look like, and he's just like, yeah, if I did something like that, I would do something with like EAAs with it. And he's like, and he starts going off on all. I'm going to start laughing. I said, bro, you know that's why we changed our mind. I said, we were so on the other side of that for the longest time. And I sent him over the episode that we had with what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Who dropped all those studies on us. And so Mike is completely
From Keon.
Yeah. So for the audience, that I get a lot of, I don't know about you guys. I've had a lot of DMs from people that have asked me about that because it's an area where we, have communicated different. And I said, hey, listen, we were there too. There was for the longest time, we talked a lot of shit about EAAs. And, first to admit when somebody comes on and, breaks down studies that we weren't familiar with or shares new recent studies that have come out, then change our mind on something. That was an area that we changed our mind on, and seeing him change his. So, and I don't think he's publicly talked about it yet. So there's people that still, because it wasn't that long ago that I got a message about that.
Well, creatine, we've been on for 10 years. I remember saying early episodes that, and at that point I was speculating it's going to be good. It's good for everything. Everybody should probably take it. There's going to be benefits for most people. And now it's very clear. It's like whether you work out or not, whether you're into lifting weights, you do endurance training, or you just sit at a desk all day long, whether you're a vegan or an omnivore, it doesn't matter. It's good for you. It's like I can't think of a supplement that's non-essential.
Even if you think you're eating enough meat too, it seems that there's all these protective benefits to it, which I trip out on in terms of Dude, head trauma and all that stuff.
I'm telling you guys, okay, all the crazy crap that I've done to my body, okay, over the last 30 years, okay, one thing that I did right, I think protected me against all the crazy stuff that I've done.
Never missing creatine.
I've taken creatine nonstop since I was 16. It has such protective effects on organs and all this stuff. That's why sometimes I'll get blood tests sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm still good after all those years or whatever. And I think it was that, dude. I think it saved my life.
Funny,
Because the first time I took it when I was 16.
It's such a cool thing for the consumer too, because it's a really inexpensive supplement. It is. And so for the audience, don't get pulled into all the different versions and this one's faster, better, like all the bullshit. Like the most basic, generic, cheapest form of it is,
as long as it's pure monohydrate.
Yeah, pure monohydrate is the cheapest form of it you can get, and it's not expensive at all. And so it's awesome that so much research has come out to support how great it is for all ages, all groups of people, no matter what the goals are. So it's like, and it's not that crazy. So it's nothing worse than the newest supplement or whatever we're talking about that's, good for you. But then it's just like, it's also costing an arm and a leg, for like little tiny benefits. The benefits from creatine are so wide and so awesome, and it's really inexpensive. That's great for the consumer.
100%. Speaking of health and stuff, Adam, I want to ask about your sinuses. So it was confirmed sinus infection.
Yeah. And
don't you love having a friend like me?
Yeah, well, you know what? It annoys me that I didn't even piece it together.
My ego's talking right at everybody.
I mean, I should know better. I mean, when you get influenza like that, and it's very common to get that. I have all the symptoms of a sinus infection, and yet didn't even think of it until you said something. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, that's probably exactly what happened.
You know why it's hard, dude? Is because it's a secondary infection. It's hard. A lot of people miss it because they're sick with a virus they get better,
Yeah.
and then they get worse again, and so they can't, like, what's going on? Why is it lingering?
Yeah.
But yeah, all your symptoms were, migraines and pain in your face and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh, dude, I think you have.
I'm trying to remember the last time I had a sinus infection. It's been a long time.
They suck.
Yeah, and I forgot what it feels like.
Do you know my wife got one when she was a kid that went untreated and it infected her bone? She was hospitalized.
I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah, bro. It could get real nasty if
Wow.
it's, I mean, oftentimes they go away on their own, believe it or not. So
I hate taking antibiotics.
which one they put you on? Azithromycin?
No.
Amoxicillin?
Yeah, I think amoxicillin was what it was.
So you know what else you could do to help with that? Of course.
Doxycycline.
Okay.
Doxycycline mono.
Okay.
So,
yeah. That one causes erectile dysfunction.
Every
Too
time.
many of those anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Just kidding.
So what are you saying I could help? What could help me?
The Joovv light, red light on your face.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, mitochondrial health, right?
Yeah, yes, and it's actually it's anti-inflammatory. It'll actually there's evidence to show that it boosts immune function and that it's antiviral, antibacterial.
Oh, I haven't been doing that.
Yeah,
I will totally.
So
do
you're on
that.
the antibiotics. So and literally you could cover your eyes or not. You don't have to, and just shine the light on your face.
Yeah.
Antiviral and antibacterial.
There's evidence to show that
know
as well, but definitely anti-inflammatory and immune boosting.
Yeah.
So you just shine it on your face. The one that we have is the one that goes deep and surface.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll go deep enough. The sinuses are pretty close to the skin. So you're going to get in there and it should in fact, you should notice a difference after one treatment. You should notice a little bit of pain relief.
It's funny because just the thought of sitting in front of it actually sounds good. It's like, sometimes you could like picture yourself there. I'm like, oh, I feel like I could have relief from that.
Receiving red beams.
Yeah, I haven't been. Katrina's been really good about it on it lately, but I have.
Because she likes the skin, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Jessica sees that like big time.
That's better.
Yeah,
I just be doing farmer blows to get rid of it.
Oh god, bro, you're so disgusting when you do that. We go on walks. You just blast it.
It's football, right?
Better out than in, dude.
No, it's not, bro.
Football thing, right there.
It is. Why do you guys do that? Is that that's like a football thing?
Well, because you got a helmet on. That's why, right?
Fuck.
I mean,
Through your helmet?
Yeah, they do.
I got stories. I don't want to get into it, but
Yeah, let's not.
Let's
skip that.
there's some dudes that'll do gross things.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. We have a free guide titled Understanding Your Mood, Stress, and Sleep. It tackles all of those things from a health and longevity perspective. It's a totally free guide. So just click on the link at the top of the description below. Hey, do you know that scientists, I got to bring up this article, dude. This is super cool. I think Justin will love this. Scientists have figured out a way, or they're starting to figure out a way to create artificial muscles.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to pull this up. Science Daily, right? So anybody who loves studies, ScienceDaily.com, they'll post, and you can go in different categories. Like you can look up health, fitness, sexual health, mental health, like quirky.
Is this associated with that video of that robot that they actually had this musculoskeletal kind of material?
I don't know if that was it.
Yeah, because like
I saw that.
it was
It looked weird,
contracting, and it looked like literally you just stripped somebody of skin, and it was like muscle and bone.
So here's what it says here, right? So this is this came out March 17th. This is from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, so MIT, right? Smart people. The summary: engineers developed a method to grow artificial muscle tissue that twitches and flexes in multiple coordinated directions.
Oh, they're growing it.
Yeah. These tissues could be useful for building biohybrid robots.
Oh my God.
Powered by soft, artificially grown muscle fibers. Do you guys remember the movie?
Next level.
Do you guys remember the movie Terminator?
I do.
Remember? That's when he comes out and you can't see that they're a Terminator because it's real living tissue over, cyberkinetic or whatever.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is.
Oh my God.
What they're doing.
Already converging.
I think this is super cool. You know what I find that's really cool about this is that we're so smart that what we're always trying to do is figure out how to do what God did or what nature did.
Yes, it's so smart.
We're so smart.
We try to replicate
Like, hey,
it.
you guys, we're getting kind of
then it
close
kills
to what.
us.
Yeah,
And
we're getting
then
kind of
we
close to
start
what,
over.
what we see in nature.
Don't you find, okay, it is a bit of a like a double-edged sword or whatever, right? Or catch-22. Like, because there's a part of you that wants that too, right? Like there's a part of you that you're saying that kind of like tongue in cheek, like the fact that we're trying to emulate what God did is probably not the smartest.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great place to
But
start.
it also helps you kind of learn. Like,
Yeah, well, exactly. It's also what gets us to understand so much more, and the along the way how much we learn. Like,
Totally.
And so there's like this. I don't know. I mean, like, is that a catch-22? Would that be a catch-22 in a situation like that where you're like, it's like, yeah, we want you to do it, but then we also shouldn't do it?
I think this is great. I don't like it when they try to create consciousness. That's where I'm like, good luck, you guys, because we don't even know what that is. But creating artificial muscles, imagine the amputee,
exactly,
or muscular dystrophy. You know, now you have this artificial limb that moves and acts like
just to play devil's advocate with you. If we really explore consciousness and we could figure that out, imagine what that would do for things like depression and people that have psychological problems. I mean, there's so many people.
That'd be great if philosophers and scientists for thousands of years could explain it properly, but they can't. Nobody can agree on what it is and what it constitutes. So what they're trying to do is create an idea of what they think it is, which is Frankenstein. So I mean, muscles are different. Like
it's a trade-off for sure. I mean, the more we pursue stuff like that, I mean, but you find out that it actually creates more depression. It creates more problems.
Potentially, or in the pursuit of it, you potentially unlock something too. You know, on the way there, you find something else.
If you're tempered and you had like a real good counsel that was like paying attention to the moral aspect of all these things, which is not existent. So that's my issue with tech, is that there's no real counsel out there that's like slowing things down and then testing it before it's like become like, oh, maybe this is going to lead. We could play this out for years and see where this is actually going to lead and who's going to weaponize things. So you can temper it.
The strength of science is also its weakness. The strength of science is its objective. There is no moral compass. There's no, I don't have an opinion. That's its strength, but that's also its weakness, because the question is never should we. It's always
that's why I keep. Doug? Can you look up catch-22? Am I using that correctly?
I don't think so. It's more like a two-edged sword.
With double-edged sword. So I said that.
Catch-22 is a situation where you have like an impossible situation that you need to do X to take care of, but in order to do X, you have to do the first thing.
Oh.
So like, for example, you want to get a job.
Yeah.
But you need experience.
Oh,
but however, to get experience, you need a job. So
that's
kind
a
of
catch-22.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're double-edged swording it.
Originally I said that, then I went to catch-22. I should have just stuck with my original.
Or you can mix them, right? It's double-edged catch-22.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do it all the time. Yeah.
You do those.
But I mean, that's what that is, though, right? Because it's like
you got to throw a wrench in the monkey.
You got to throw a monkey in the wrench.
I think you said that one.
I'm glad I had you look that up, because I know I've used that before, and I'm like, I'm not sure if
before the comments start flying.
Yeah, of course. I got to beat everybody too. What an idiot I am. If I can beat you to it, it doesn't count.
That's a great strategy. I think it's cool though. I think it's really, really cool. However, let's just have some fun with this. Where could this go bad? Where could robots that feel real? Ooh, look, this feels real. Where could that go wrong, you guys?
We're already gonna have sex with them. So.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's the first thing that happens, isn't it? That's like the first thing that will happen.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, it already kind of is happening, right? That's already where it's.
Yeah, even
already
with just the artificial.
Isn't that where most of this technology is at right now? Like as it's applicable, it's like already it's in the porn industry, right? Isn't that where you are already seeing these sex robots and things like that
there in terms of demand?
Yeah, dude.
And money.
I tell you what, man, when that gets to the point where they start to really seem indistinguishable, it's going to get twisted. It's going to get real weird. I think Westworld, I haven't seen Westworld, but I think they explore that, right? Where,
yeah, they do.
Because it's a robot, therefore there's no like I can kill it. I can do whatever I want to it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Talk about a philosophical, you would love that, because it really does like highlight human nature and like where we tend to, if there's no, if you're like autonomous or like you have no recourse for your actions, like how far would you express those actions?
So do you guys believe that we could ever get to where it's indistinguishable?
Yeah. I don't
because of the conscious point you make. Like there's something about that energy.
You probably read in their eyes.
You mean exactly. Like I just feel like you might look, feel, all those things.
That's what I mean.
But I mean, standing next to you and engaging you, I feel like I would feel a different energy about you. Yeah. I don't know.
I think they could trick you. I do. I think you might be tricked. I don't think people care. I don't think they want a real person.
Honestly,
I think they want a robot.
Depends on the person
that they program, and they're going to want a dude who's going to want a woman, and he's going to program her to be what he thinks he wants.
What do they say? It's like 65% of
but that's,
groups of people. It's like you're susceptible to hypnotism and things like that, where it's like there's a suggestibility component to people's. So you can actually manipulate people pretty easily if you're susceptible to it.
all it's doing is accelerating the inevitable process, and we've talked about this. Here's a very similar parallel: is that there'll become a time when anybody can have anything they want.
Yep.
So right, we're with 3D printers in the future in that direction, like materialistic
That'll
things.
That'll be a scary time, by the way.
Right. This is the same thing. It's like you think you want a robot woman who gets you your beer, does all these things, but tell you how awesome you are.
And
like,
you have to program it to be like mad at you sometimes.
Right. So then you get that. Then you get that and you realize, oh, I don't like this. And the beauty is in the struggle. The beauty is in the hardship. The beauty is in the overcoming those difficulties or not having an imperfect human.
I think
being
people
challenged.
I don't know if people are going to. Maybe they'll totally figure it out. But I think there's going to be a road to that where it's going to be like,
this is all Blade Runner stuff. You guys should rewatch that. She's
too agreeable. I'm going to make her less agreeable. And then there should be a button that makes her finally agree with me. Or I want her to argue, and not too much, right? I want it to be kind of fun. Or it's going to be weird, dude.
Wow.
It's going to be really, really weird. There's already people having AI girlfriends that don't even have a body. They're just online.
Well, I mean, that's actually been happening for a really long time when you think about it. When you think about the relationships that were happening in chat rooms, you don't know who the hell's on the other side of that.
That's true.
Well, look at what was that football player's name that got like catfished? Yeah, and it's he thought she was real, and turns out it's a dude.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. I guess like in that form, you can believe that it's a real person, and it could be a robot.
It does feel like it's very possible in our lifetime that we'll get answered those things that we're talking about, though. And our generation, or at least our kids' generation, will find out that having everything you possibly want, or having a robot person to be exactly how you want, is not what you want. And there is this misconception of maybe it is, when it's like it's very obvious it's not. It's like, and you will, whether you know that now or not, you will eventually figure that out.
Dude, speaking of weirdness, right? So there was this post that went viral on X, and I don't like necessarily the woman's take, but I could see where she comes from. And she said something like, if you meet a man that's into collecting this and playing with that or whatever, they're not really a man, they're still a child, blah, 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 right? A lot of people got pissed off. Like, oh, a man can't have hobbies, and I'm saying this, whatever. Yeah. But I think I can see...
let's attack her crocheting and,
I can see some of the, some of that, like some of the truth in that. But and then we get an article sent by Jackie, which aligned with it. So Hasbro, right? One of the largest toy companies in the world.
Yeah, going after adults now.
Well, do you know what percentage of their revenue is for 13 and older?
Hasbro. Now, remind me, Hasbro does gummy bears. They do, what else do they do?
No, that's Haribo.
Oh.
You always think Haribo's Hasbro.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, every time we bought gummy bears,
Hasbro is like action figures.
So give me an example of Hasbro.
Yeah, Play-Doh, Barbie, what else?
That's all Hasbro?
I thought it was like G.I. Joe, but maybe not.
Okay, so what percentage is over 13 years old?
Yeah, 13 and older.
I would think 10%.
60%.
Whoa. 60%?
Yeah, and is
it collectibles? Is that why?
Well, the toy industry called them kid adults or kidults, and there's a growing segment of their fan or their consumer base are adults.
Yeah, they're like action figures, right? Because like they do like Star Wars, like famous movies, like they'll have like these like action figures that people collect.
Yeah, so you're seeing adults buy Lego sets.
Oh, they do Nerf? Yeah, dude, Nerf's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
Yeah, but
come at me.
Yeah, but if you invite me to your house.
Yeah, but this is a really good discussion, though, because at what point does it become just like anything, right? It's the dose that depends.
Look, if you're a good person, you're not hurting anybody, and you're into whatever.
Just don't be like the 40-year-old virgin version.
Well, some of it's weird. If you're an adult and you like My Little Pony,
yeah, they have action figures, collectibles, games, all the Star Wars stuff.
So here's look at Justin.
Now,
here comes the defense.
I have an Alf action figure right here, dude.
You don't play with him.
No, I don't. I just
display I collect things. So there's a lot of things that I collect, and I'm into.
What's the most childish thing that you collect?
Cards.
You still collect cards?
Trading cards, yeah.
You put them in big frames and stuff. You get expensive ones.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's still. Yeah. I mean, now I'm just a rich older kid. You know what I'm saying?
It's no different.
I'm still the same.
That gives a little.
That's like a young poor me could just have the card. You know what I'm saying? Now I can put them in big plastic things and put a signed autograph.
Yes, you're right.
It's just as bad.
Well, let me paint the picture.
Stuffed animals, that's a little.
Let me paint a scenario. Okay, Justin invites us over, a bunch of dudes, right?
Yeah.
Some other guys come over. He's like, hey guys, you want to come hang out? We're gonna play with my Star Wars figurines, and we're playing. That's weird. That's weird. Or or a woman is like, hey, ladies, you want to come over? We're gonna
I get
play
to be
with
Han Solo.
You're gonna play. Let's all play Barbie. That's kind of weird, dude.
Well,
so I get the collector thing. Maybe
there's no argument for me on that. I mean, that was my point of like, to what obsession
degrees.
are you into it? Like, I think there's something really cool about things that are nostalgic to you, right? That when you were a child, like, I mean, the model car behind me that I put together. I mean, I built that with my son, who's into Legos right now.
Well, now you win.
That was
you're done.
That was the car I had in my room as a poster.
Yeah.
So I got that toy behind me.
Yes, but hold on. Let me back up.
Okay.
If you're a dude and you invite a woman to your house on a date,
I don't show her those.
And
things.
you have a whole.
I don't even show her.
You have a whole room.
I don't even show her those.
And
things.
you have a whole room of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bro, she's out of there.
Yeah,
she's gone, dude. Or if you're a guy and you go over a woman's house, and
I
she
guess
has a
it
whole
depends
wall
on
of
what it
Barbie.
is, though. Like I don't. Okay, so you come over to my
I'm
house.
out of there.
I have a whole room. I have a whole room dedicated to the cards and the jerseys. It's a whole room dedicated to that.
Yeah,
sure.
But that's not weird. I mean, I don't think. Maybe the audience can speak up and be like, "That's weird."
I don't think it's. I don't
like
think
Katrina would never walk up there and be like, "You have a problem." Like she's like, "This is cool."
But she tolerates it.
I don't think. I think she thinks it's cool.
Is she into it too?
Yeah, well, she's into basketball.
If you asked her, if she had the choice of that room, would she have chosen that?
Oh, that's a good thing to ask.
Well,
definitely not, because that was my like. This is going to be my room.
Okay, well,
Well, that's
I'm decorating this room.
all right. Well, that's different.
You can have all the other rooms. I said you can do the master bedroom. You can have the living. You can have all the other choices. This room's my room.
I think. Well, too, like as long as I've been in marriage for like we're going on like 13 years. So it's like, I'm going to have my own room. I need my own space. And like, she has her thing outside gardening and doing all these activities and hobbies and whatnot. So she recognizes I like these things. I like guitar. I like, having nostalgic things, surrounded. But so she's not into any of that stuff downstairs. And I don't care.
There's definitely
there is a weirdness with toys.
Well, no, there's a point.
Yes.
Because even the thing that I'm talking about with myself, they could get like, okay, well, actually, I'm gonna roll my best friend on the bus. Like my best friend, like, okay, I'm into trading cards. I'm into the jersey, collectible things like that. Okay. Well, he literally on his phone is on that What's Not app, watching other grown men open boxes of cards. That to me is fucking too far. That's too far. And I also even see the way his wife reacts to it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's too far. Like, we can both agree that we're into collecting cards. We're into that. But at what point when it starts to bleed into other aspects of your life or take away through things that should be more important and valuable, that's where you cross the line. I think.
That's why I think that woman's post, there was some, I get that women get that ick from it, like you find out that a dude you're into collects a lot of toys.
Once you point that out, there's so many things they could point out about her, like interests.
I was just going to say, is there anything that we get ick from? I mean, girls get ick all the time for guys. Guys do all these icky things. But
what would a woman be into that you'd be like,
oh, stuffed animals, a huge one, man.
Yeah,
like,
that'd be weird, dude. A room full of stuffies.
Or those dolls.
We're going to offend some. There's some grown ass women that be collecting stuffed animals.
Yeah, there's a weirdness to that.
We've already offended all of
I agree.
Our
I mean, I feel like
toys.
I think that's equivalent to the guy who has all the girl who has a bunch of stuffed animals and she's 35, 40 years old.
Way too girly of shit that's like super like swirly whirly, like doily shit. Like, calm down.
Unless you're a grandma. I love grandma houses with doilies and stuff. That's cute. You know what I mean?
guess. There just needs to be a balance, I think. That,
dude.
It can't be like,
well, I mean, a girl can get that crazy
feminine.
with her obsession with belts and purses. You ever seen girls' closets that go like over the top with that? I mean, that can get really crazy, expensive, obsessive. Like,
you be careful though, dude. You got a lot of shoes, bro. You got a lot of shoes.
I mean, listen, I'm not one.
I was gonna bring up shoes. I was like, Adam has a whole pallet.
Yeah, you should have said nothing, dude.
So I mean, I don't know. I think about this stuff. I think it's an interesting conversation because
it's just interesting that market is it's exploding. It's growing. They're like making Lego sets for adults. They're making toys because adults want to play with them.
People are just kind of like finding their way back to things in their childhood they really liked and appreciated. And maybe it's like a little overkill because
you know what you do with that? Can I just tell you, everybody right now? Like, I'm going to sound like an asshole. When you have kids, that's when you do that. If you're a grown single man,
That's the
and
best way to do it.
And you're doing
share
it
with your
on
kids.
your own. It's like you got to grow up. You
Yeah,
have kids, then you share it with your kids.
That's a really good point, Sal, because I would have, I've only had a son for 5 years. I had never bought a Lego set and put together a Lego. The only reason why I bought that car and built that car was to do that with him. And I would have never done that had he not already been into Legos, because it was like, oh, you're into Legos? Yeah. Cool. They actually make these for these collector cars that I like these cars. Let's do this together. It made sense. Yeah. Whereas I wouldn't have ordered that and put that together.
Now, Legos is an interesting one though, because they have some that are so complex that there's like a degree of.
Well, they're 18. And I bought Max. Max still 2 birthdays ago, so it's for 2 years. It's been up in his closet. I bought him this Bowser. And it says on the box, and I just ignored it.
Don't get none of those 18-year-old, bro. That is hard.
18 plus.
Yeah,
it's 18 plus for him to do.
How long did it take?
We haven't done it yet. It's been 2 years. It's been sitting in the closet. I've held off on like starting it. He's about ready though now. Like he's patient enough that I've already done some things with him that were for like 10-year-olds and above, and he'll build it over. Like we've done builds that taken a whole day to build. So
dude, speaking of stuff that kids like that adults like a lot, can I tell you conversation I had with my cousins over the weekend? So my aunt just got a new place, new house, beautiful house. We're up there, and I got to see my cousin. He's got 2 wonderful kids, beautiful wife. Just love the. Oh, you guys know Alex. Love him, right?
Yep.
And his wife comes up to me. She goes, "Thank you for introducing me to the nuggets from Butcher Box. They're the best.
They're such a hit, dude."
She's like, "They're the best nuggets I've ever had." I'm like, "I told you." She's like, "We literally eat them so much it's embarrassing." So like we eat them and the kids eat them, but we eat them all the time. I'm like, don't worry, I talk about it all the time.
I'm fighting constantly. My youngest, he eats them before I can even have a chance now, because he's just consuming protein.
They're not just good nuggets; they're the best nuggets. I've never had nuggets.
So this happened last night or the night before last, and
they're gluten-free.
It happens a lot. And the fact that you bring the nuggets up, it's funny because so a lot of times Katrina and I will have dinner leftovers, and then sometimes mathematically it doesn't pan out perfect. Meaning, like last night we had one of her. She makes this healthy pasta dish that I love, and there was 1 serving left. And then Max would normally have his nuggets for dinner, and so then it's like, oh, what does the other person do? Do you want to and so it comes down to this, like, hey, I'll just have nuggets with Max. You order out, or you do this, and we're arguing over who gets the nuggets. Yeah, who gets the nuggets?
You just have the nuggets.
No, I'm cool. I'll have the nuggets. You order out. Or you have the pasta or whatever like that. So
I've been in that predicament.
It's happened a couple times. Bro, I mean, isn't that normal? It's got to happen to everybody else where you like have a odd number.
I'm not like a
bigger bag.
And you don't want to waste it. You don't want to waste it.
I'm not like a nuggets aficionado. Of course, nuggets are palatable. Typically, they're good, but I don't like seek them out. I get like 4 bags every time I get my order because I put them in there.
Yeah,
and I 100% will put 20 to 25 on a sheet, and that's my meal.
Yeah,
and just smash them, and they're gluten free. And they're easy to digest. They're really good.
Yeah, they taste good and they sit well afterwards. It was a while back. It's been a while now, but I remember, and I think it was because we had been eating the nuggets from Butcher Box that I had like a nugget craving, and then I went through and got nuggets from McDonald's.
Oh no,
it is not the same.
No, bro,
it is not this. You know what's so funny is when you're a kid. Yes, when you're a kid, it's so weird how you get adapted to that, and you don't realize it until you've been away from it, and then you have something that's way more natural tasting, and then you go have that, and you're like, oh my god, these taste so processed chemically. This doesn't sound.
You know what's weird too about McDonald's food, especially their nuggets and their fries. When they're cold, gross. Immediately gross.
Yeah.
The Butcher Box nuggets, cold, warm, hot, whatever, always good. Always good. Because I've had them cold when we left them out.
I wonder what that is.
And you eat them, they're good. They're still good.
I wonder what that is.
Yeah, so I don't know.
More
some engineering in there.
The fact it's more real,
Probably.
Closer to being more like real food.
Probably.
Interesting.
Seed is the world's best probiotic. If you want the benefits of probiotics, no more bloating, healthy skin, better regularity, you want better immune system. All the studies have shown this on good probiotics. Well, Seed is the best. Go check them out. Go to seed.com/MindPump. Use the code 25MindPump and get 25% off your first month's supply of Seed's Daily Symbiotic. All right, back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by MindPump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
Our first question is from Joshy J93. How does one maintain protein targets in a caloric deficit?
Eat it first. Prioritize it. Prioritizing protein is even more important in a calorie deficit than it is in a surplus. A caloric surplus actually has some protein sparing effects. In other words, if you're eating more calories than you're burning, protein becomes less, but still important, but becomes less crucial to getting to your goals than it does in a deficit. So when you're in a deficit, it's really important to hit those protein targets. But the way to do it is eat it first and prioritize it. Eat it at the beginning of your meal. Make sure you hit those targets before anything else.
This also could be a sign that you need to reverse diet. If you are in such a low calorie deficit that it's almost impossible to hit your protein, if I had a client like that, then we would reverse diet. In other words, like let's say this is a 200-pound guy and he wants to be down to 150 and he's only eating 1,300 calories, and it's impossible to hit 200 grams of protein with 1,300 calories. I mean, literally, unless you only ate chicken breasts all day long, that would be almost impossible. And so that tells me, oh, we need a reverse diet. I need to build your metabolism up. We shouldn't even be in a cut yet, because when you go into a cut, you can't even hit your protein intake. So that's something to consider if that's where this question is coming from. If it's coming from a place of, well, when I go into a calorie deficit, it's almost impossible to hit my protein intake. It means your calories are too low.
Really good point. It's not super common, but sometimes you get that. You get that really, really low calorie individual who's trying to hit protein, and if they hit the protein, they go over their calorie requirement. Like if you can't hit your protein targets without going over your calories, even if it's lean protein, we got to reverse diet you and get your metabolic rate to come up a little bit, so build some muscle. But I mean, again, I'm gonna emphasize this. There's even data that shows that higher than what we recommend protein intake is more beneficial for calorie deficit. In other words, if there's some data that suggests that what we typically recommend is about 1 gram of protein per pound of target body weight. It might even be beneficial to go above that when you're in a calorie deficit to really preserve muscle. And in a deficit, a high protein diet, one that hits those kind of upper limits, in combination with strength training, it causes more pure fat loss than a comparable same calorie diet that's lower in protein. So it's like a very big deal, and it makes a huge difference when you hit those protein targets.
Next question is from Matthew Reiner. How do you know what weight to choose while warming up to a working set?
A warm-up should feel relatively easy, but allow you to connect to the muscles that you're trying to work and allow you to practice perfect form so you feel what perfect form feels like before you move into the working weight. Okay. Now, ideally, a warm-up looks more like priming than a practice set of that exercise. Although once you become quite advanced, a lot of really advanced lifters can prime well by practicing the exercise themselves. Like a good, bench presser, a good power lifter knows how to activate scapular retraction, depression, and all the, important things of a bench press. Whereas somebody who's relatively new, I might have to do a cable row with light weight to really get that scapular retraction feel before they jump into the bench press. But the weight should feel easy. It shouldn't feel like a workout, but it also shouldn't be so easy that you don't feel like you're connecting to everything and getting yourself in the groove.
Really just enough so you feel like there's some weight there. But for the most part, you can make up for that with tension and to, work on your grip, your placement, really like hone in on all those attributes of the mechanics of it and slow it down and pace it so you can emphasize just that intrinsic kind of tension that you're promoting to get that, which is really you're just emulating the priming sequence to your earlier point. So if you don't know how to do that specifically for you, obviously going through one of our compass tests will help to kind of reveal that.
I've always thought this, when we get asked questions like this, it's a bit overthinking, don't you think? It's like, because play out the worst case scenario. They choose the weight too heavy, they choose the weight too light, And at the end of the day, like, does it really going to make that big of a difference?
No,
You're probably better choosing too light.
Right. So if it's purely a warm up set and you're not doing priming, which is what we'd probably prefer you do, right? If you were a client of ours, we would prime you before doing exercise. So let's say you're not one of our clients and you're going to do a warm up set, and that's your strategy to get ready to work out. Then you can't really choose too light of a weight. Just do a weight that's really light, slow it down, create tension like Justin's saying, and then get into your working set. But I think you're a bit overthinking it, because even if you go a little heavy and it's now, it's somewhere between a warm-up set and a working set. So,
I guess I count it now.
Yeah. So count it then. So it's actually not that big of a deal. And I think I prefer priming somebody specific to their needs than I do warm-up sets per exercise.
Yeah, what's interesting too about warming up or priming is when you're a beginner, you'll probably spend more time here. And as you get really advanced, you spend more time here. I mean, when you get really strong, like a really strong lifter, like somebody who's going to do a squats with 500 pounds is going to work up to 500 pounds, and it's going to look like 135, 225, 315, 405, and then 500 pounds. So you'll see that with advanced lifters where it looks like they're spending so much time warming up, but that's because of the amount of weight they're lifting. It's one of the interesting things about warm-ups.
Next question is from Sav4OKC Thunder. I bought MAPS Transform. What's the best way to determine your baseline calories for the later phases? I'm not sure where to start for my calorie calculations.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So we're working with that group, right? That Transform group that is being coached by our MINDPUMP trainers. And this was a conversation actually that we had yesterday because some of them had been tracking. So to answer the question first, you track your calories, track your macros for the next week or two. Don't change anything. Just eat like you normally would. Track. Use a tracking app like MyFitnessPal or Fat Secret. And then at the end of that week or two, you'll have a nice general average that is going to be pretty close to your baseline. In other words, over 7 days, I'll give you a round number, so it makes it easy, 14,000 calories. So I'll divide that by 7. My average is 2,000. That's where I'm going to start, okay? So that's the most accurate way to do it. Now, there's another way you can do it, which is not nearly as accurate, but is okay. So we had people doing this in the group because there were some people that had never tracked. And what they did is they just ate until they were full, hit their protein targets, and ate the protein first. And they started there. And here's what happened to them. A lot of them lost weight the first week or two. Actually, there were two women in particular in the group that did this. One of them, or actually both of them were like this, but when I was talking to the first one, she said she ate so much junk food before. So she was eating a lot of junk food, didn't know how many calories she was eating. She went into this group and, we're reverse dieting. So the advice was like, okay, you don't know what your calories are at. You're just eating a lot of junk food. Why don't we just do this? Eat whole natural foods, hit your protein first, make sure you're satisfied. Don't let yourself get hungry in this beginning phase. Well, she lost weight for the first week, second week, third week. So in other words, she ate the first week and she was tracking. She's like, I'm losing weight. I got to add more calories. Did it the second week, still lost more calories, lost some weight. Went into the third week and finally kind of plateaued. So she might have hit her baseline then. But that just goes to show you, by the way, how much you overeat when you eat hyperpalatable processed foods or junk food. So when we broke it down, the third week she was at 2,100 calories. And I'm like, you're probably reading more than that and just didn't even realize it, which is pretty crazy. But to do this accurately, you got to track. That's the way to do it.
And just to highlight this is that this isn't a bad situation. Like that's exactly how I handle a client like that. Like they've never tracked before. Hey, the goal, the way I coach to it is I want you to eat every time you're hungry. Eat whole foods, lead with protein. Those are your parameters. Just eat whole foods, lead with protein. I don't really care if you're having tri-tip and we're not going to get into getting into all the nitty gritty yet. Like literally just eat when you're hungry, eat the protein first. Let's see where you land. Now, if we measure after a week and you actually lost weight, then I'm going to bump calories again and by a couple hundred. If the same thing happens again, you lose weight again, the second week we're going to bump calories. And this is not a bad place to be right now. You're almost indirectly starting the reverse diet there. You're just starting from a little bit lower place. But to me, this is the best way to figure this out. The algorithms in these apps that, have these generic formulas to
like
figure
your
out
body weight, what's your activity.
It's never going to be accurate.
Yeah. You're just far better off eat when you're hungry, make good choices as far as whole foods, eat your protein first. And what you normally see happens in a 7-day period, I know Sal gave a generic rough number, but it was 2,000. But what it normally looks like is 3,000 one day, 1,500 another day, 2,500, and then it averages at 2,000. And that's actually a very good normal way to do it, because it's kind of how you would normally eat and get an idea of, oh, my baseline then is 2,000 calories. But this is how you do this.
Next question is from Lana K. Jancy. What are the benefits of the newly popular lymphatic drainage vibration plates? Is it a scam?
Is that what they call them? Lymphatic drainage plates? So I didn't even know that was what they call those.
Yeah, because also too, I mean, they're promoting those trampolines for like similar benefits.
So the lymph system moves lymph fluid through the body through you contracting your muscles and moving. So you know what else helps with this? Walking. You know what else helps with this? Exercise, swimming, riding your bike. Like any kind of movement helps with lymphatic. And they use drainage, which is weird because it makes it sound like it's like
draining bad stuff
coming out of your foot or something.
Yeah, it sounds like it makes it sound like you're draining a bunch of bad,
all the toxic
stuff out of your
body.
No,
the contraction and relaxing of muscles helps pump lymph fluid, which carries, immune cells and stuff throughout the entire body. Now, vibration plates are very interesting. Now, advertising like this, is it a scam? I mean, I guess it kind of helps because it contracts your muscles a little bit. It's not going to benefit you any more than walking for what they're saying. But vibration plates do have value in helping you reach
new depths,
new ranges of motion.
Yeah, mobility.
Yeah, so like
turning off the governing system.
Totally.
That limits you typically.
Totally. So like you're trying to get into a deep squat, and you're standing on your own, you can only go so far. A vibration plate, because of the vibration, causes your muscles to just to contract and relax just a little bit, which sends a signal to CS that your CNS that actually reduces its strength just a bit. So it actually dampens the signal enough to allow you to get into these new ranges of motion. Okay, so stretches, mobility movements are pretty cool on a vibration plate. Now, if you tell me, is it worth buying one? No, because they're so expensive. So I wouldn't necessarily spend that money. But if you have that money to waste and you want to improve mobility with something that's kind of cool, because they do feel pretty cool. Like getting in a deep squat in one of them is really fascinating. Like it makes it feel like I can do it and it doesn't hurt because of the way it affects my CNS.
I'm just not a fan of anything that requires no movement from you and it moves for you.
Oh, when you just stand.
You know what I mean?
I'm not a fan of anything that costs $10,000 with such little benefit. It's just like, at least the Thigh Master was like $10
and all that stuff.
I mean, this is
really expensive.
And I have some trainer friend buddies that are like into this. It's just like, and it's like a new hot thing, but it ain't that big of a deal.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's and to your point, I think it's cool. Like I have used it. There was a period of time when you've heard me talk about my mobility when I was really working on my squat depth, and I could get down in a ass to grass squat on those plates right away, or even when I didn't have that ability before. And so it allowed me to kind of get down in that position, which for like kind of priming and warming up my legs before I go squat and work on depth, like it was great for that. That was cool. Would I spend $10,000 on one? No. You know what I'm saying?
What's cheaper is those vibrating balls that you use to roll on. Right?
Oh yeah.
And that I forget who makes those, but I actually really enjoyed those because it has that similar effect where because your central nervous system is really like you have knots, right? And it's trying to protect around certain areas of targeted areas, and so to distract that and then actually get in there and get some deep tissue work, sometimes vibration helps.
Yeah, how much are they costing?
Did I say 17,000?
Yeah, they have some pretty expensive ones here.
How much are the cheap ones?
12,000. The cheapest one you can get is 1,400. This is Power Plate,
which is a bit of a stretch with
the well-known brand.
Benefit wise.
Yeah, but
they turn it into like these class things now, and they're all doing all kinds of stuff with it.
But if you want your to improve lymph fluid moving through your body, move. Like nothing will do it better than moving your own body.
By the way,
muscles.
the trainers that have already bought into this thing and they're sold on this, don't waste your time emailing us on trying to close us on. We think
Well, there's some really
already
cheap,
unless you're
very
an
aware of the
astronaut.
research on it. And
there's some really cheap ones on Amazon for like $30. Does that really vibrate though? Like effectively? I don't know. It's pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. One of the keys to fat loss is protein. It's true. If you're not eating a high protein diet, you're not going to burn as much body fat as you can. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the smartest ways to use protein for fat burn and to build muscle. You got to watch this.
I wish I understood this earlier in my career. I think it was probably almost 10 years in when I
Same.
started to just focus on this with clients.
I knew it was important,
Yeah.
but I don't know how important.
Yeah, I also did. I knew it was important, but I also didn't